Hello and good morning, Uganda. Today is Wednesday, the 24th of May 2023, and it's indeed a good morning because we received light showers of rain there earlier in the morning. And now this is your daily Kickstarter Smart Mess Business on Smart 24 TV, and we love you so much. Thank you for always tuning in and watching this daily Kickstarter. And now, actually today, I love the fact that the rains started off to reduce a little bit of the dusty roads. Actually, it's been hot. It's been hot throughout the week, but we are glad that that the weather has changed a little bit. And good morning, everyone watching. This is indeed a good day, and we hope that as you are preparing to get to work, we hope that you have indeed a good journey. Well, let's get into our morning call of the day to discuss and what has been transpiring. Now, kicking it off, today we shall be looking at the tracking of vehicles, and our government requests for ITMs systems that is in tracking vehicles. You know, recently we've been having issues where cars are stolen, and of course, cars go missing actually, and this is a call for tracking vehicles. Anyway, vehicles will be tracked and monitored using this system. Actually, this system helps in tracking vehicles mostly for purposes of security. We have had a lot of insecurities actually in the country, where we've had shootings and missing people. So for purposes of security, there is need for these ITM systems. Now, the device will be on digital number plates. That means they'll be issuing out a digital number plates. This is actually quite an interesting initiative because we are shifting from the analog bit, getting into the digital bit of having our digital number plates, which will have tracks on them to track people's movements. You know, people have been abducted, people have been kidnapped. So definitely this is a good call for Uganda. Now, members of parliament had issues with not registering any success of cameras that were given a lot of money. Now government wants the money for tracking. You realize, like I said earlier, there has been with these abductions and gun shootings and need, we tend to have provision for surveillance cameras, and of course in most cases they are in places like probably in the city centers where maybe if an atrocity happened, we could not have coverage for it. Let's say in places like your roads, those maram roads, your small feeder roads that you get into when you're going home. I don't think they have provisions for cameras. But then the fact that we have not had any success for these CCTV cameras, that means we have to have provisions for these trackers. For purposes, like I said, for security. And now it further says that MPs say that more intentions for extorting money from people. We've had instances where people are being extorted money because, of course, when you want to, because of these trackers, if you want to have your car tracked, and also people tend to extort money from these people, asking for huge sums of people. So if you could have it. If we could have it in discussed, and we have a provision for it, that maybe a certain amount should be provided for these tracking systems in our cars, that means we could have a unified amount of money where everyone can access. Now, you realize that people have lives, okay? And therefore, that means if you can access a car, definitely you can access these tracking devices, you can access them, because I mean you cannot have, it's funny how you can have a car and you cannot be able to buy fuel. So definitely for the cases of having our cars having chips or these ITM systems in our cars, it's really important for the purposes of security. All right, and now let's have a look at what some of the members of parliament had to say about this.
When you see right now they are bringing a ITM system, which is going to monitor like registering digital number plates, motor vehicle, motor border borders. Really, we have never received any successful story about the cameras which they bought at 376 billion in 2018. People are still being killed before cameras. Where are the reports? So they are bringing this in disguise of monitoring security, but in actual sense they want to collect money, they want to take away people's privacy. So for me, I've not supported the motion that this system should be abolished and should not be given any chance. People, they are dealing. You can see this John Stocko company from Moscow, that is in Russia. Jim Wise is ever sugarcoating about this company. They have never done due diligence. The committee have never benchmarked, but they are saying that we should recommend, we should go with this company before doing due diligence, before seeing specific projects this company has done. But here in Parliament, we are just on post-mortem because Jim Wes arrogantly he has said that no, we already implement this system. So, like, we are just wasting time here at the floor of Parliament. But for us, we shall continue speaking what is supposed to be spoken and to advise them.
It's a pity that important things that affect the public, when they are brought to Parliament, they're not given attention. This motion of tracking vehicles of people has been around for more than a year. It's 1.5 years. It was put aside. If it had been brought in time, our motion would have been impactful. But now they brought it at a time when even an agreement was signed. And the way it was brought, it was like we're supposed to rubber stamp. It's a very good thing we've done for the country because, number one, it is the people paying. People are supposed to pay for these number plates. Number two, when they pay, government is not going to collect resources from the money paid. It's money being repatriated by the Russian company. Number three, also, it's a security risk. How do you know whether this Russian company is simply going to collect security information for their people? How do you volunteer your security to a foreign country? So I just think it's not a good thing that this country has done. Number three, we know how many times people have abused such privileges, those that are managing them. I don't think it is for the security of people, because earlier we put up the cameras, they've not been able to help him. We have sniffer dogs, they have not helped people. And they also marked, I have told the Parliament, they marked guns. They told us when to register every gun, mark it so that they would be able to attribute every bullet that goes out to a particular gun. Very many people have died and they've not been able to tell us which gun, possessed by who, that killed the person. We only told every time that's the pigs. I don't know which pig holds which gun. So what you've done is being these guys under security, but I know it will not add an inch in protecting Ugandans. Instead, it's going to take away the little savings that they've been holding the people. Yeah.
Well, that is it for having our tracking devices for all cars and border borders. And now let's get into our press reviews. Well, this is an interesting day and I hope that you're having a good morning. And now, like I said, I have the Daily Monitor and the New Vision, and I'll be taking you through the top stories that are making headlines on today's paper. Now, still more MPs okay tracking devices for all cars and border borders, like you had seen earlier. They okayed the tracking of tracking devices for all cars and border borders. That means for every border and every car, they have to have a tracking device so that we curb this insecurity that is happening actually in our country, Uganda. Museveni issues new directives on the PDM cash. Okay, this has been trending actually from last week, still in this week. Now, Ochola suspends 30 private security firms. Now, moving on to the Daily Monitor, still trending. We are still trending actually. We are having, still talking about our expired degrees, how they have affected people's dreams now. People's dreams are now shattered. Those that had aspirations, those that had pursued courses, are thinking of ways to channel. And maybe for those that are hoping to have those courses, they are hoping maybe they could have an alternative. Actually, you could have an alternative if you could have a better course for it. But anyway, we shall have the National Council for Education will come and give their part on this matter. Now, the revelation of expired programs being taught at Uganda universities have brought to the fore painful testimonies for career-driven professionals whose hopes of acquiring premium medication at Western institutions crumbled like a pack of cards, but no one listened to them. But anyway, we shall have a say. We shall have, of course, like I told you, the National Council for Education will have a say on this. Now, digging deeper, MP's report fails to nail majority of ministers on the Iron Sheet saga. Still trending. We're still on the end. A month now. We're still on this issue, which is actually quite interesting. The fact that we are hoping that these culprits are put to book, that means we are calling for it. Government withdraws pension bills. That means that calls for those who receive pension. Now, on regards to pension, government withdrawing pension fund bill, and the government has withdrawn the Public Service Pension Fund Bill 2023 to accommodate new changes. Now, in March, the State Minister for Public Service, Grace Magasa, tabled the bill that requires a public servant to make mandatory contributions of 5% to his or her gross salary, the pension fund, every month. So definitely, every civil servant is required to give in a 5% of their gross pay for pension. That calls for government workers. At the end of the day, if you are retired, you need to have a certain amount of pay. Give it to you every month, which covers 5% of your salary. Still on the market vendors have been given actually 2 weeks to register. The government has given market vendors a 2-week ultimatum to register with Kampala Capital City Authority in order to streamline operations of market. Like we had earlier last week, there was a review actually of the performance of KCCA, and we see that the shortfalls that I had last year, they're trying to implement them actually this year. Another minister, well, that is it for meantime. We are joined with Andrew Barija to give us the traffic updates on what is happening out there on the road. Barija, a very good morning.
Thank you very Joram, and a very good morning once again. And today I'm coming live here at the Clock Tower traffic lights. Definitely observing the junction, actually. The traffic lights actually are not there, but they used to be there. But of course, under the construction delays, which have really taken quite a while. But of course, it's one of the busiest junctions connecting quite so many roads from different destinations. As you can see, well, it's quite looking a little bit muddy here. Since the rains, of course, which started very early in the morning to fall. And yeah, that's why you see it's a little bit, you can take a look at how the surroundings are really looking like. But amazingly, the entire place is a little bit calm when it comes to the movement of the vehicles. Of course, when I'm to start all the way at my very back here, vehicles that are coming in from Entebbe, Entebbe Route, Kajansi, and all those places along Entebbe. Of course, passing via the Usafi side, you can take a look. Yeah, that despite the fact that you can see quite a very huge fleet line of vehicles, well, it's quite a little bit mild in terms of movement. That's what I can say. It's not really as a thick one, despite looking thick, but it's flowing. You know, there is jam being available, but when it's not flowing, but this time around it's flowing. And that's why we see that the place is a little bit calm. So people that are coming in from those areas, and probably you're planning to pass via this very junction to head to other areas, well, you might reach in the required time that you need to reach, execute the businesses that you ought to execute according to the flow, the mild congestion around here. Mild means it's a little congested and slightly and kindly congested. That's what I can try to mean by the word mild when I say mild congestion. Now, of course, these vehicles are heading towards Kampala. Of course, the destination coming in from Entebbe heading there. As you can take a look there, it's like I said, it's thick but flowing. It's thick but flowing. You know, the vehicles are moving smoothly. But maybe what might bring a disruption is some sort of a, because when you take a look at the vehicles still that are coming in from Kansanga and Zambia, they have also connected in here in the same route. So, well, that is what we are observing, and probably that might cause a sudden sort of a congestion because now there is a collision between the vehicles that are coming in from town and they're heading towards these particular destinations. They're coming from town and they're heading towards Kansanga, coming from town and heading towards Entebbe. That sort of a collision in the middle there. But you can take a look. The jam is flowing, as I told you earlier, despite the thickness. So that is the situation like here at the Clock Tower. Well, now for somebody that is coming in from town and you're probably heading to Kansanga, you're heading to Entebbe, and basically this route is going to be one of the joining routes heading there. Well, you might be delayed shortly, but now, like I say, this is attributed because now all the vehicles coming in from Entebbe and Zambia are all using the same routes, and some have actually gotten into the lane of those vehicles that are supposed to come from town and head towards Entebbe and Zambia. So that's the only issue there. But people that are coming in from these areas heading to town, it's quite a free lane for you to go and execute the businesses that you ought to execute. Well, quite so many borders here, many cyclists. Like I told you, it's quite rainy, and yeah, of course there are quite a few potholes because it explains why you get to see some sort of stagnant water lying on top, and some of the vehicles or borders are trying to avoid that. As a result, well, that might cause a slight congestion, but later on in the day. But as of this morning, it's quite very okay. Now, of course, as we show our eyes finally to the route that connects to Zambia, people coming in from Zambia, Kabalagala, Bunga, Gaba, all those areas, and you're probably coming to town. As you can take a look there, it seems to be quite free and empty. Like I said, the only disadvantage is the delays when it comes to, you know, being held, a collision between the vehicles coming in from town and those heading towards Entebbe. But of course, according to the look of things, if you're coming in from those areas, well, it's not really congested as such. You might be able to reach in the appropriate time as possible to execute your business in the city center. Yes, that is it regarding this area. But what I can say that overall, any person that is coming to town or any person that is leaving town and connecting to those different places I mentioned, well, as long as you are aware that you're going to use this route, it's quite okay for you, and you'll be able to go and execute your business as you ought to execute. And that is it for the traffic updates this morning. I'm Andrew Barige, and now this time, let me take you back to studio with Joram and Masi.
Andrew Barige at the traffic, that is with the traffic updates at the old clock tower, which is now currently the Kampala flyover. That is the same place that is housing the flyover, I think. And by the end of December, it will all be well. Well, after the break, we are going to return shortly with what is happening with the latest information from Karibu East Africa and the SMB International Updates. And many thanks for joining us this morning. But as we're heading into a break, remember to grow and be part of the ever-evolving world of investments by investing for your own self in government bonds and securities. Star 292 hash is the USSD code that you definitely need to use to kickstart off your investment, and the platform that you will be ushered into if you are an MTN subscriber is the Zabu platform. That is star 292 hash. Now, for the MTN subscribers, it's very possible for you to invest anytime, wherever you are. That is between 8:15 to 3:15 p.m. Mondays to Friday. The markets on the platform are only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. You're still watching Smart Means Business. Here we kickstart off the morning with business information. After the break, we return shortly.